So, like, the first question is, can you introduce yourself and your fund?
Great, cool. My name is Emiljan Gega. I'm based in London. I'm a director of Fisique Ventures, and Fisique Ventures is essentially a healthcare fund focusing on diabetes-related technologies. So that could be anywhere from medical devices to online capabilities, software products. The idea behind it was to form a partnership with leading charities in this space. So step one would be we'd be using the IP of those charities, the networks of those charities, both strategic and investment related, to invest in these companies, help them scale, and effectively be closer to the target market and help those health outcomes. There are multiple ways to sort of link Korea into that. You know, one of the GPs has run a Korean fund, is a Westerner, and so one of the thesis of the fund was, how do you invest in technologies around the world that, you know, attack diabetes as a problem, while leveraging sort of the expertise in Korea to develop those products, you know, from a manufacturing point of view, from a distribution point of view, to allow for global pricing. That's one of the things we don't do very well in Europe, which is to create global products, which Asia obviously does very, very well.
Okay, then how many years you've been as an investor?
So as an investor, a couple of years. So I've been investing fairly seriously since 2020. With this fund, we are pretty new. We've been at it for about a year, mostly on the fundraising side. We've looked at a bunch of investments, and where we can't deploy from the fund itself, we've been helping those investments, you know, raise money through our network. Most of my background in investing is around sort of private equity. So we directly with companies that are looking for people who are able to bring not just money but clients and resources to those outcomes.
So you mentioned you have experience with working with Korean related people. So what's the biggest difference between like your colleagues and Korean people?
I would say there is, in Korea as well as parts of Eastern Asia, I think a longer term, more patient focus on things. I think in the UK and definitely in the US, there's quick outcomes. You know, we want to do things tomorrow, right? and sometimes that's good, but generally speaking, it's not very intentional. And I think when you're building something as important as a healthcare fund or industries that are supposed to last many generations, you need many generations worth of work to go into it. So I think there's definitely an outcome here around, you know, following a process, aligning everyone, which I think the East Asian market does quite well.
So, and what makes you to like jump into the private equity and venture? What makes you to do it?
It's still a really vastly potential asset class. You know, public equities are somewhat overvalued. There's not the same level of growth. There's I think certainly not the same level of impact and innovation. Whereas in private markets you can do that a little bit more. Obviously it requires a lot of money, and you know, thankfully there is more money coming into this space. Sometimes it's going in sort of the wrong areas, like fads like AI and stuff. Obviously there's some incredible AI companies as well. But there's definitely some bloat, and so I think the private equity side of it, you can probably be a little bit more rational and focused about where you apply that sort of resources to it. And fundamentally, if you sort of take the Yale endowment model of, you know, constant asset allocation and looking at where growth is for various interested parties, you know, private markets are still where it's at.
Okay, so then now let's move on to the question about the Fosterbridge.
Cool.
So overall, so far it's just the first day of Fosterbridge, and what score would you give to Fosterbridge? 1 out of 10.
For its
1 to 10.
For its first year, definitely top marks. I've been to events that have had a lot less organisation. Everywhere where I turn, there is a Fosterbridge person ready to help, and so that's incredibly reassuring. It feels like you own the hotel as well. So it's,
yeah, we are in the hotel.
I can't be anywhere without seeing everyone. So it's incredibly encouraging. I think what Fosterbridge is trying to do is brilliant. I think I'm looking forward to the other countries you roll out to and the partnerships you create. I saw obviously you've got a global community this year. And potentially there's great opportunity to do Fosterbridge link-ups between Korea and Africa specifically, Europe and Korea, North America.
Right.
If that's the plan, it feels like that's the plan. And you can see the template of a plan as well. And it's been encouraging. There's some really interesting guests. You know, you got some strategic government relationships. You know, some LP relationships, and obviously some really cool companies that are raising. So that's deeply encouraging. If I can take one thing away from this trip, you know, it's you know, underscoring the fact that the Korean government's doing quite a lot with SMEs and,
Right.
and startups, which, you know, not many governments in the world have a ministry for SMEs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they always lump it into a minister for economy or finance or something, and then you forget about it. So,
Right.
from that perspective, I think it's been very good as a showcase of what Korea is capable of doing.
So like you want to join the Fosterbridge in 25 and 26 as well?
I'll ask my wife. I'll ask my wife if I can take the time off. But yeah, absolutely. I'm very encouraged by it. I'm very encouraged by it.
And at the same time, like Korean founders, especially young people, want to expand their startups or build their business models, their business ideas in the Western Europe or America. What do you say to them? Any tips or any advice?
I think go for it. There's definitely some advantages to starting here, and then when you have a certain level of scale, coming to the US and UK. It's quite difficult unless you have, you know, that baseline to penetrate those particular markets. But certainly the opportunity is there. There's no real pressure points. I don't know so much in terms of if the UK has capabilities to allow Korean investment in or to allow those type of businesses in. I look at the capabilities that Australia, New Zealand, South Africa have developed, allowing their startups, entrepreneurs to come and be successful in the UK. I know the US a little bit less,
Right.
but I know those capabilities exist. So if there is a channel for that in UK Korea relationships, to exploit it, because it's a great market to play in. You know, some of the talks I've heard today, there's obviously a tremendous amount of talent here, and they're solving, you know, global problems, not just Korean problems as well.
Okay.
So absolutely go for it. You know, you may find that money in less known ways. So obviously the government's very supportive here. You know, you've got institutional LPs that are very open-minded here. It's a little bit trickier in sort of the West unless you hit a certain scale, and then it becomes a lot easier. But once you're past that growth phase, then in the West you can go flying very quickly.
Oh, so just try to make 0 to 1, and you ship to the UK and other markets.
I think so. I think so.
And any messages to Korean young entrepreneurs, or even for your wife or anyone you leave your message? Anything? Not about business.
No, it's absolutely worth coming here and seeing what's here. You'll be incredibly impressed. I think is my main takeaway. It's a beautiful city. There's a lot of conviction in the country. So those are sort of my big takeaways. I think lessons, you know, sort of come with high expectations, because, you know, they've been met so far.
Yeah, that's it for today. It was like a short interview. Thanks
Thank you.
for coming, and thanks for your time, Emiljan.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you.